Hey y'all, this morning we're gonna start with my absolute favorite breakfast, and then we're gonna talk about contour. If you guys want the recipes for this, or if you want me to do another video showing how I make all of these things that I pretty much live off of because they're just better than what you can get at the store, just let me know, and I will make a separate video for you guys. All right. I start with homemade Greek yogurt. I make this in my Instant Pot. It has a yogurt setting, super easy. And then I put some fresh fruit. And this is rhubarb pie filling that I make from my own rhubarb plants. Then I put in some homemade granola, super easy to make and way better than store-bought. All right, let's give it a taste. It's like eating a strawberry rhubarb crisp. It's so good. Let's go talk about contour today. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've been meaning to talk about for quite a while now and put it all in one place. You all know that I really like to find products that work for fair-skinned, cool-toned people. Sometimes that is just a really hard thing to find, and so I definitely spend a lot of time collecting things that will work in these categories because it's not something that the major brands tend to make a whole lot of. So a lot of times you will find that you have to kind of go outside of the big brands and do a little bit of hunting and searching. A lot of times the very, very high-end brands, the ones that are super expensive and that are supposed to be very luxury and nice, they don't have a cool-toned version of things like contour. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I actually have a whole bunch of great cool-toned contours, and I don't think, I'm looking at them right now, not a one of them is high-end. I would love some high-end options that are truly cool-toned. So far, the ones that I have kind of looked into that are supposed to be cool-toned are not. They're just not. Not on my skin. So I have some great options that won't break the bank and that you can usually order online. And if not online, then you can just find them at the drugstore. I'm not a huge enjoyer of contour, but there are times when I really do want to use contour. So it's nice to have a cheap, in your back pocket option that you can use and you know it's just going to work for you every time. So let's get into it. This Essence Contouring Duo palette is literally one of my top recommendations. It's the oldest one that I have, and it is the first one that I tried, and I really didn't feel like I needed any other ones for a while until I got curious, and then I wanted to try some other ones. But if you have to buy one, this one will probably do, especially if you're looking for powder. Now, that dark, it's really dark for somebody like me. However, during the summer, you know, that might work as more of a bronzer because you can see it's a little bit warmer toned. It still works. It's great. I love it. And, you know, you really can't go wrong for like $4. So this is just, if I am going to recommend one, it's always going to be this one. Is great for fair skin. Yep. Now you can see the difference between the two sides, the one without and the one with. This is a blush. I know that's not what you're used to thinking is going to make a good contour, but for some of us with very, very fair skin, this sort of muddy, pinkish mauve purple ends up really looking like a shadow on us. I mean, our undertones do have a certain ruddiness to it. So it really does work with our cooler skin tones. Even though we're ruddy, it's more natural for us to have sort of a red undertoned shadow. That's going to look natural on us. Okay, now for the summer, this is a little bit warmer than what I would usually wear, but I do like this one in the summer. It's got a little tiny bit of sheen to it. It is a little bit warmer. I would probably not wear it as intensely as I'm putting it on right here, but I do want you to be able to see kind of what it looks like. So let me put a little bit more on just so you have an idea. If you were say, you know, if you had picked up a little more color over the summer and you were working this into sort of a darker foundation than you're used to, this would totally work. And honestly, it's kind of the color of my hair. It still matches me, but it's a little more intense than I would normally go for. Okay, so I picked this up. This definitely, the dark is a little bit too dark for me, but that's why I'm using this small brush. I'm going to use this one. When I reach for this one, usually I am trying to do a little bit of more fine contouring. So I'll use this one like around my nose, just little spots where I feel like, you know, my chin is maybe looking kind of like too white or lumpy or something like that, and I want it to disappear a little bit. I will use this one. What I really like about this is that it's got this really cool highlight that you can add on top of it. Everything goes together, and then there's this white, which I think would be a highlight for somebody else, but for me, what it does is it acts like a powder, and it sort of mixes everything else in together and makes it not look so harsh on the rest of my face. So it helps me basically mix it in so it looks a lot more natural. So yeah, this is another really good deal because you have all three of the things that you need in one palette, and it is cool toned, so it works great. These two I found on Amazon. They have a bunch of different colors to choose from, and all of them are well, I should say most of them are very, very cool toned, and I really love the sort of Korean style makeup, so I wanted to give these a try, and they didn't disappoint. They really do have a really nice light texture. I really like that you can go very subtle with them, or if you use this darker, warmer tone, you can kind of use it as a bronzer without over bronzing your face. So, you know, this is just another good option. This is probably not the cheapest of the options, but I had some Amazon money from my credit card. I get reward points, and so these were free for me to try. So yeah, and again, great. The darker ones are great for maybe carving out the nose and under the chin a little bit. But these have just a really nice smooth powder that looks great. Let's move on to cream products. This one is probably my favorite of the cream products. Specifically, I like this one because it is kind of smooth and creamy, and I really like the true cool, but not too dark undertone on this. What I will say is that the foundation that I'm wearing today and the powder, because I keep having to remove everything and put it back on because I keep trying all these different cheek products on, my face is really, really dry, and I will say that I don't prefer to use these cream products with a very, very dry powdered face. So that's kind of an oopsie on my side, but you can still get an idea of what they look like. But I will say that you'll see me struggling with these as well. They see how kind of hard to spread that is? My face is just too dry for that. So yeah, see, it doesn't want to spread so well. If I was wearing one of my really, really like moisturizing, you know, slippy kind of foundations, this would be a lot easier to work with. Now, that said, these work great. They are beautiful. This is the warmer toned one, and then I'm going to try a cooler toned one on the other side. They're real close, but there is a slight difference between these two. The second one is just a tad bit more cool. So, you know, they work both the same. I'm really happy with them. It's just a matter of whether you prefer cream or you like powder, and, you know, what you're putting the cream or the powder over as to, you know, which one I'm going to be grabbing for. So yeah, these are great. These all work. These are all great options. And hopefully you see something that is going to work for you here. Okay, so to finish off the look, this is one of my absolute favorite new blushes. This is so beautiful. It is the perfect color for us very fair, cool-toned girls. Look at how well this spreads. It is really easy to build up without it looking blotchy, and it goes over even the cream, which, you know, it's going to tend to want to stick to the cream. It does that really well. Do a little bit of highlighter, and that's it. All right, so there's some great options for you to try. Hopefully you see something that has piqued your interest. Oh boy, you know, if I had to pick my favorite, probably, oh, it's tough because they're all very slightly different in their finish and the uses. And, you know, say I'm wearing a really slippy hydrating foundation, I'm probably going to go for one of the cream products. If I'm wearing something very, very matte and dry, I am going to go for the powder products. This Essence Contouring Duo Palette, I have had this for many years. I'm sure it's expired. This is how much use it's gotten, and it still works for me. It doesn't break me out. It's great. I believe this is under $5. I will put up exactly how much it costs, and it's still available as far as I know, because it's just a great product. Really, really, truly cool tone, and I like that it's got the two. I tend to use just the lightest color, but I like that it has that darker tone in case you really want to start sculpting around the nose or underneath here, or you almost want to use it as a bit of a bronzer. For us, what other brands would consider a cool toned contour, a lot of times that'll work as a bronzer for us because it is just a little bit too warm or too dark anyway. So, you know, if you're feeling like you want to look like you've got a little bit of tan and color and it's the middle of summer, I might use the darker tone on this. Aside from that, the one I would mention that is Surprise, this Flower Beauty one, I would almost really exclusively use this during the summer or as more of a bronzer. So even though it looks extremely cool toned and light here, the minute you swatch it, it actually is a bit on the warm side. I mean, it's about the color of my hair, which actually is great. So I use this one pretty much as more of a bronzer. I especially like it. You do have to have a light hand with it, but I especially like it because it's got just a little bit of a pearlescent sheen to it. And I like my bronzers to have a little bit of shine to it. The one I will bring up that I don't have because I gave it to my daughter, who is also very, very fair toned. She's blonde, but she has even fairer skin than I do, believe it or not. I think it's because I spent more time in the sun growing up down in California for a little while, and then in Louisiana all the way up until I was like 11. We went to Florida a lot, and I got burnt a lot. So I have a lot of freckles. I have a lot of kind of ruddiness and warmness that she doesn't have because she grew up in, you know, Washington State, and it's a little gray over here. Point being that she needs something even fairer than me. Usually she's like one shade fairer than me, and she is also cool toned. And she used my elf Halo Glow contour in Fair. I love this formula, spreads really well, and it is really, really cool. I mean, it's bordering on gray. So that's another super economical one that I definitely recommend, but I don't have the actual product here to show you. I have done a video before showing it in action, so you can see it. And another one. So this is a blush. Plum Rose Butter Blush from Physicians Formula. Okay, on me, this is a wonderful, very, very light contour. Probably, if I'm gonna reach for contour, it's one of these two. But I gotta say, lately, since I found this, I was digging through my stuff and I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had that. Yeah, I've started using this actually fairly regularly. So if you can find this one and you are fair, this just looks like, I know it's supposed to be a blush, but this looks like a shadow on us. It looks like our skin's version of a shadow. And especially if you have a little bit of a ruddy undertone like I definitely do. So yeah, I almost forgot this one. That's my favorite. I did want to mention that. It's kind of a new old favorite. This one's great. This is just one of those things I wanted to get to. I've been meaning to get to for a while. I've been kind of collecting things to try, and I guess this week was the time I decided I was finally going to get to it. So hope this helps you if you are looking for that cool contour and you are tearing your hair out the same way that I have done for years. I have my ones that work. I'm always excited to try new ones when I see them, but they're so rare and they're so few and far between that I figure it would be helpful to just have a resource for you guys where you can just check these out, see which ones you think is going to work the best for you, and then you've got your contour. And frankly, with us being as light as we are, I'm assuming I'm talking to other girls like me, you're not going to use that much of it. So, you know, kind of one and done, and you're probably good. So that's it. Thanks again for joining me here. I love talking to you guys, so if you have any questions, of course, leave them below. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend, and I will see you in the next video.